God in heaven, I would be thinking to God thy will be done. On earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses. Deliver us from evil.
Well, here's the deal.
How many ways? I've exhausted my creativity on how I can fail.
You know Agent Baker over there? He's kind of a dolt, but he's actually an idiot.
Keep it from the public. Eliminate any unnatural threats.
And Baker's just standing there for like 10 seconds in the silent, and the fog comes back in and says, "This is so fucking cool."
What's up? Welcome to Sunday Shenanigans Gaming, plays Delta Green. We have a special episode today where we're going to take some questions from the players and maybe let them peek behind the velvet rope a little bit. So with that, we'll introduce the agents. First, we have Bob as Jimmy Here's the Deal McNulty. Say hi, Bob.
How's it going, everybody?
Next, we have our favorite Texan, Lee, is Kyle the Beastmaster Baker.
Hello.
And next, we have the face of the group and our little Georgia Peach, Paul, as Derek the Mouth Smiley.
Hey, everybody.
And finally, our man with the plan, and then another plan, and then another plan, Steve as Ruben. I think I'm just going to live here in the Dangler house forever, Steinmetz.
Everybody.
How's everybody doing?
Doing all right.
Good. Hanging in there.
Excellent.
So yeah, that was a pretty tense operation full of bratty kids, pissed off parents, mutilated townsfolk, and giant otherworldly flying gremlin type things. And one agent who took matters into his own hands, taming the beast and putting it tightly in his pocket like a Tamagotchi. Let's give Lee a round of applause for turning the end of the scenario upside down.
Huzzah. Polite bow.
All right, that was my spiel, my monologue. So, yeah, whatever you guys want to talk about. If you got any questions about season 1, or like if we would have done this, how would that have turned out, or anything like that. Unless you guys want to start with like favorite moments from the season.
I was going to suggest that. Why don't we start with that to kind of give everybody a talking point?
Sounds good. Well, then, Bob, why don't you go first? What was your favorite moment of the season?
Without question, my favorite moment was during the battle with the IAPA. He's got me on the ropes. Baker was able to grab the talisman and wish it away. And then as this thing disappears, he just straight up murks the kid to start hiding it. Just cold-blooded. It was such an, oh shit, this is what we're dealing with moment that it stuck in my mind. That was truly hardcore. And I was like, all right, it's going to be that kind of party from now on. I'm here for it. So well done, man. Well done.
Baker reloads his shotgun, just standing there kind of watching. What's Thomas Dangler doing?
He's just like curled up on the ground, breathing like super heavy. He looks hurt from the fall, but he's not dead. He is squirming around a little bit. Yeah, but he's kind of lying on the ground right next to you.
Okay, then Baker would aim his shotgun at Thomas Dangler and shoot him. Taking the aim action first, and if he had time, just blow him away.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that. Like, did you kind of have that like planned in the back of your head that you were gonna try to do all that stuff, or was it just like on a whim?
Oh, once the kid made me with that watch, I was like, he's got to go. Like he can't be allowed to exist anymore. We have to figure out a way to get him out of here. And it just literally, kind of like the end of the season, everything just seemed to fall in place magically to exonerate us all as it was going along, and just really leaned into Baker's kind of self-serving criminal background with it, and tried to RP it from that perspective.
Yeah, that was awesome. I've listened to maybe one or two other podcasts with doing a Victim of the Art, and like nobody's ever like done that type of stuff with the IAPA and whatnot, and just straight up getting rid of the danglers. It's nuts.
Okay, I'll go. I had a related question, and that is, does the scenario have? Does it account for somebody taking control of the IAPA, or is that something that you had to improvise on the fly?
That was all improvised. The scenario pretty much says, the only way to kill the IAPA is to break the amulet, and that's pretty much it. It doesn't say anything about if agents take, unless I missed it. It doesn't say anything about the agents taking control of it. I don't know if you guys kind of grasped what actually was happening, but Thomas Dangler was wearing the amulet while he was sleeping, and he was all doped up on pain medication, so he was sleeping a lot. And if he had any sort of negative dream about somebody, it would summon the IAPA, and the IAPA would go take care of it. And when he woke up, he'd remember nothing about it. Like, he wouldn't remember the dream. He wouldn't remember anything. That's why when you guys were like interrogating him, he was just like, I don't know. He had not much to say.
Yeah, reading through the scenario after the fact, I was looking for that too. Maybe they had a provision in there for one of the agents taking the amulet, and it's definitely not in there at all. But there are rituals that you can give that essentially mimic the same thing, just insert whatever monster you want in place of whatever. It's the same sort of template.
That's what I did with Lee's. Now that he's got the amulet, just so he thinks twice about just unleashing that thing anytime he wants. Like it hits him pretty good whenever he wants to use it. So I think it's like 1d4 willpower, 1 hit point, and 1 sanity, or maybe he's got to roll the sanity. I don't remember. Anybody else got any favorite moments?
Yeah, I'll jump in. You kind of mentioned it there, but as we're questioning Dangler, it was the turn from questioning him, and I knew there was something involved, right? But I kind of thought we'd hit a dead end. And then that last questioning session when the IAPA burst through, because I'm sitting there thinking, okay, we're done. We have no leads. Like, what are we going to do? I guess we just have to try again later. And then the way the action ramped up so quickly. And I knew kind of, okay, this is it. Like we've solved the problem, but we solved the case. We know what's going on.
That whole deal with the Rolex, I can't believe how perfect it fell into place. So like after, I don't know if it was episode 2 or 3, I think it was 2, when Steinmetz and Baker were in the dentist office, you guys were searching for clues, and Lee rolled like a crit success to search, and I had him find those written
notes,
the notes from the danglers to the dentist. That's all I had him find. And then like 2 hours after the session, Lee messages me and he's like, hey, I was wondering, since I had a critical success there, would Baker be able to go search around for any kind of valuables, like a Rolex or something? And I was like, yes, you definitely can do that. I never told him that the Rolex was engraved because I made that up right then. Like no, I didn't. I thought of that still that same episode, but when he initially pulled out the Rolex to show you guys to propose trading it, and I had you guys like, when I was like, do any of you guys like inspect this watch? And you guys all seemed to think I was going for like, oh, it's really a fake Rolex or something like that. And no, it was because I thought, oh no, this thing needs to be engraved, because that would cause Thomas Dangler to be like, what the fuck, why do you got the dead dentist watch? Did you kill him? And it all worked out so good.
It did. That was 100% my favorite moment. It was so funny. It was so perfect, but also just the fact that we were interrogating him earlier, trying to make him upset, and it's like, you know what? Let's just try to give him the Rolex and switch it. You even had us roll the awareness check and we failed. So it was great. I loved that moment.
I mean, that was a fun sequence to begin with, and then top it all off with with the gag at the end where yep, it's got his name on it. I'm right there with you. That was also fantastic.
And he's like, I know this watch. He's flipping it around, and he the back of it, he shows you, and on the back of it, it says Moretti. Oh shit! Why do you have Dr. Moretti's watch?
It's the dead watch.
Did you kill Dr. Moretti?
Code Black.
Are you?
Wait, this is
Are you here to kill me? Are you here to kill me too?
No, I'm being honest.
It was completely chaotic. Like that whole like 20-minute section was just like, the Rolex and the IAPA coming in, knocking Smiley out, and then McNulty rushing out of the den and hitting Miss Dangler, making her tumble off the banister, and it was just like awesome. Like bravo to you guys, because it was perfect. Yeah, Lee, do you got anything? Anything stand out to you?
Yeah, this is actually my first Delta Green game in investigation, and my actual favorite moment, or like the thing that caught me off guard and surprised me the most, believe it or not, was whenever Steve's character Steinmetz was checking into the phone records with McLovin, and he was like, "That tells me everything I need to know." And I was like, "This guy's just off on a wild tangent. There's a monster out here killing these random people," but he had basically already cracked the entire case by like 30 minutes into the second or third episode or something like that. And I was just completely thrown off guard by, I guess like he could ascertain that McLovin was, you didn't want to give away Dangler's name because that was going to be too on the nose or something. I'm still not sure what happened there, but poor Baker was sitting there trying to process that through his simple mind while the rest of the game was going on. It was very fun for me.
Yeah, I wanted to figure out a way to get you guys to investigate that a little more by going to the school. So I was like, if I gave him Thomas Dangler's name, all they got to do is look up records, find out where he lives, and go there. But if I give you like an alias for him, then it's a little more, you got to dig in to see who this kid is.
Yeah, I completely took that as a red herring and thought that was, something to throw us off the case whenever Steve had it figured out from launch, pretty much. Though that was a hard tie, too, with like the final synopsis that both Steinmetz did with the computer hacking at the end, as well as Smiley's press release. Like that combination of how like everything came together in like the last, the very conclusion of the episode, effectively. I thought that was, you couldn't write it pretty much better than that, even if you had pre-existing knowledge of everything, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was all you guys coming up with that stuff, because none of these scenarios say like, well, to win this scenario, the agents will like need to do this or this. It's all open-ended, and you guys just got to figure out how to do it. And all of that stuff just like clicked perfectly into place. It was awesome. And to bring it back to at the dentist office when Lee found those notes, as soon as he mentioned that, or maybe it was as soon as Steve saw him, Agent Steinmetz saw him and saw that it was Mark Dangler, you could hear Steve in the background going like, yeah, that's it. Let's just kill him. Just he said something else too, I can't remember, but it was funny. You find two notes. The first one is,
If I see Mark Dangler on here, let's just go kill him.
this guy.
Baker finds a note. It states that a Mark Dangler called. His son
Oh my
is in
goodness.
extreme pain
Yep.
after his root canal this morning.
Get him.
Would like a
That's it.
call
Case
back
closed.
for a follow-up
The
ASAP.
second one is,
A note from Eloise Dangler states that she's very upset, was expecting a call yesterday. Son has been screaming and crying in pain, wants a call as soon as possible.
All right, there we go.
I mean, let's not jump to conclusions, but Mark Dangler was on the phone list. It's the only connection. I mean, I'm not saying we go wipe this guy out immediately, but
I got a quick question. So much like Lee, this might come as a shock to people listening, but this is my first time playing too. So this is my first Delta Green session. I was wondering, not that we're geniuses or anything, but I thought we did have a pretty cohesive story at the end of like what happened here. Is that pretty common? Like that all the threads can kind of tie in so nicely, or did we kind of luck out?
To tell you the truth, not real sure. I've only run this. I'm currently running Impossible Landscapes, which I've been running for like almost a year now, and it's probably going to go another 14 years the way these guys these guys do their investigations, right, Steve? And
yeah.
I did Sweetness with Bob and a couple other people. I don't really remember did Sweetness button up pretty cohesively, or was it kind of a mess?
If I remembered, we buttoned it up pretty well, and you left it on the kind of famous Nolan cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But
I remember how it ended.
Yeah.
I don't want to say how it ended, just in case I want to run it for you guys. So.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I think I remember as well. When I ran music from a darkened room for you guys, didn't you guys just burn down the building? I'm pretty sure you guys just burned down the building when all was said and done.
Well, I remember I killed all the neighbors. Or
no, Dave killed the neighbor.
Oh, yeah. Well, I feel like us not really like remembering how like all the other scenarios, if they ended well or not, just proves the point. Like, you guys ended this one like awesome. I don't think I'll ever forget this scenario. Everything just worked out so good. The one I'm running for you guys next, I've ran before, and it was for my D&D group, who are a bunch of murder hobos, and it kind of just went off the rails at the end. And I don't think that, knowing you guys now, I don't think that's how you guys are gonna roll with it, which is good. But I mean, you guys roll with it however you want. But the one I'm running for you next is
Don't give it away.
I'm not going to, but it's pretty much the default. If you're gonna start running Delta Green, you run this scenario first, because so I think you guys will do a good job with it, because you've already run one, and I'm changing it around because the actual scenario, it doesn't give you a town, it doesn't give you a city, it doesn't give you anything. They want you to like put it where you want. So I'm putting it in Mount Clemens, Michigan, because I know Mount Clemens like the back of my hand. So yeah, it'll be fun. I don't know if I answered your question, Paul, but that's.
I think it was insightful. Yeah.
From what I've gathered listening to a lot of the actual plays, because there's a bunch of them out there. Shout out to Sorry Honey, because those guys are awesome. A lot of times it's the kind of cover up is almost like an afterthought. They do a pretty good job on just not burning everything down and walking away on their podcast. But other places, I've noticed a lot, there's not a super heavy attention to detail. If they don't just go, we can't figure it out, and burn the place down and run away to get rid of all the evidence. So I feel like the direction that you guys took it was, I don't want to say above and beyond, but really, really taking control of that storyline to kind of harness it the way that we wanted it to go, especially because we're playing now essentially a long form campaign, right? So we don't want to screw the pooch and wind up in jail or dead or fired right off the rip.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it fits not only with my personal motivations, right? I see it like that's the most fun part for me, is like the puzzle of like, okay, how do we do this and come out like as smooth as possible, right? Like that's fun. But also like the character motivation for Smiley is like, I want to figure out as much as I can. I want to solve it. Like he's just inquisitive and also sees it that way. So it fits really well with both me and my character.
Yeah, like I kind of like how we ended it in that last episode because we weren't really crunched for time, but we were looking to like wrap this scenario up. I very well could have, when you were given your press conference, I could be like, okay, roll to see if you convince all these people, things like, but I think I might take this approach going forward. Like after the threat's eliminated and you got to cover it up, I really enjoyed listening to you guys just talk it out and what you wanted to do instead of like putting so many mechanics in there. It's like, man, these guys are coming up with good stuff. Why am I going to make them roll and have them possibly fail? You know, like just have you guys roll with it, you know?
Yeah. If it's not convincing, maybe then you can throw some mechanics in like,
right.
How about that? Yeah.
Or as the audience grows, we can have the audience decide if we came up with a convincing
Ooh, and that could affect home scene of like, oh, maybe there's some impact there.
Yeah.
Audience votes, penalties, or bonuses to the players.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to, as this thing goes, and hopefully, you know, people start listening and stuff. Like we might need to figure out a little more how we can logically do it like live. You know what I mean? Like so that way we can get like real-time feedback from people and things like that. I don't know, it's a lot of work. I'm gonna have to hire a production team because yeah, so before we go on, I just want to say my favorite moment in this whole thing is a tie between the Rolex thing and when Smiley went to talk to Lauren Harrigan's mom at the mental institution. Like I don't know, it just played out so well. And after I was editing it and putting like the music and the sound effects in it, I was like, man, this is tense. Like that was my favorite moment. That was good.
And essentially try to use a little bit of psychotherapy.
All right, roll me a psychotherapy roll.
I'm not good at it, so
that's fine. She starts going back and forth like this, rocking in her chair. All of a sudden, she stands up and starts screaming and flapping her arms like this. She's screaming and like crying at the same time. And she swipes at you, like goes to slap you.
That one was up there for me as well.
What's that, Bob?
I said, Steve, what about your favorite moment?
Oh, I got it in there. So it was essentially the Rolex moment, but
okay.
It was, I mean, the Rolex angle. Don't get me wrong. It was just the turn for me from I thought we were basically at a dead end to, okay, now it's on.
Yeah, and I remember
the scenario turned.
I remember in that session, you had to go remote and couldn't see what was really going on the map and whatnot. So I was kind of bummed. I'm like, well, I wanted to ramp this up and make it and have it be a good one, but I want everybody to experience it like all together in full. And then once the Rolex came up, I was like, no, I just got to go for it now. Like, this is too perfect.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I was curious if Thomas went to sleep that night, what would have happened?
If Thomas would have went to sleep that night, the next day Stacy would have been, because you brought up all that Stacy was kind of a bitch, but you made her sound like she was really going after Thomas. So that would have happened, or what I thought was gonna happen was the first couple episodes, Bob talked a big game about, you know, I'm a murder cop. I'm a little rough around the edges and stuff. But yet when he was interrogating Stacy, he was very soft-spoken, very polite, very cordial. And when he went to talk to Thomas, he was very polite and very didn't really get too much. I was almost for sure if you guys left that house that night, I was gonna have to have the IAPA come and attack Bob in the middle of the night, but he wasn't pissing Thomas off enough.
I slipped back into social worker mode when talking to the kids.
Yeah, I figured.
I think that's some good like characterization though for McNulty of like, yeah, he does that with like adults and people he's really suspecting, but he's also like caring for the kids and stuff. It fleshes him out nicely.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so that's our favorite moments and stuff. So anybody have any other type of questions they have or want to ask?
Yes. I wrote down a handful here. I guess it's...
Give me one. Give me your best one first.
Give me one. Well, during the fight with the IAPA and the simultaneous fight with Tom Dangler, I thought we were going to get wiped out. Or Mark Dangler. The father, yeah, sorry. So, what was that? Would you let us get wiped out? Did you have a backup plan? What would happen?
No, I would. I would have. I know I joked earlier in one of the episodes. I think it was like episode 4 when Baker and McNulty were out in the woods fighting the IAPA, and we had to do that lethality roll. And I joked about, oh no, it was with Smiley when he was like down to like nothing. And I joked about saying, well, what if I don't want to kill you? What if I want to fudge my roll? Like, any time in this, I'm podcast or not and want to keep cohesiveness. Like, if, like Steve said, that one, them's the breaks. Like, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna die, you're gonna die. I'm sure the next character you roll up will be just as good in a different way. But yeah, I would have killed you out. Like, at one point, Mark Dangler pointed his shotgun like right at Steinmetz. If I would have rolled and he would have made it critical, you probably would have been dead right there. That's the thing about this game is it's a lot of times you don't have many hit points. Well, you get hit with one good shot. It's like real life, you know.
So it's funny. Done the old D&D thing, like, okay, Steinmetz, you're dead. But what do you know? Mindstetz is right behind you.
No. I'm Kevin Steinmetz, his twin brother, who is also a computer analyst or whatever.
No, it's funny you bring that up because after that lethality roll happened, I messaged you privately and I was like, did I really fail that roll? Did you fudge that? You were like, no, I didn't. I didn't know if there was a little bit of nerfing going on just for story cohesiveness, trying to keep the narrative good, because I was fully prepared that Jimmy was not going to make it through that session of combat. He almost didn't. Came real close.
Yeah, you lucked out.
I no, absolutely. I did. I figured that was it when it grabbed me by the dome. And I thought that was it. I thought he was going to do the Predator bit on me right then and there. And I even had like a death line like prepped out and ready to go and everything, but that didn't have to happen. So
yeah, instead of like fudging rolls in things like that, I prefer to give the agent as many logical chances I can to get out of the situation. Which is why I was like, I'm pretty sure I had you make me a strength or a dexterity roll to kind of free yourself from the IAPA's hand so you could kind of... Yeah, so, I mean, but you can only do that so many times. Like, I'm not going to have you 3 turns in a row be like, okay, make another... I mean, I'll give you a chance.
Them's the breaks.
Yep.
No plot armor.
But I don't know, I'm starting to grow attached to these characters, so please don't die.
That's the challenge, right? That's the tough thing. Like, the longer you go, the more attached you get to them and the more you enjoy playing that character, but the stakes have to be high, otherwise, but you lose that sense. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I want when one of you guys die, I want you all to be legitimately bummed out. And I think we're already there. Like, I feel like if something happens to Baker or Smiley, I don't think anybody really cares about McNulty. But,
yeah. McNulty doesn't even care about McNulty, so it's fine.
Yeah, and Steinmetz not joining us for next season, but possibly coming back later. That kind of sucks too, because I feel like Steve as Steinmetz brings the what's the word? I'm like
Analytical.
Yeah, analytical, level-headed to it.
Even keeled.
Yeah. So it might be a challenge not having that next season, but we'll just have to see.
Mm-hmm.
I think the whole discussion about roles, it was more of a comment I want to make, that this is legit. If there's any doubt, in the listener's mind, and maybe somebody can confess up if this isn't true, but we don't plan out. There's not much that's scripted, and I think that even came through in one of the sessions where I said, hey, I didn't want to discuss this offline with anybody because the characters didn't have time to think about it. Now, if we do have something where it's like overnight, okay, we'll craft something behind the scenes and then we can talk through it the next day because the character had all night to think about it. So I think the legit aspect of the unscripted aspect I hope comes through.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
It's very unpolished, which I think makes for, I don't want to say a better listen, because like I listen to Get in the Trunk and it's like you can tell that they pre-plan stuff and things like that, but it's a bunch of comedians and it's funny and it's entertaining, and I love it. But there's this other podcast I listen to, it's Green Box Gaming. They did Impossible Landscapes and they were great too, but they were like completely the other side of the spectrum, at least as a listener. Well, kind of like us, where like they're just playing the game, like and that's a whole different kind of listening experience, and I like that too.
So I had a quick question. Was there any moments, I wouldn't say that you got frustrated, but that you were like, wait, why are you guys doing it that way? I wanted you to kind of think about it this way, or any spots that you think like, I'm a little disappointed how that turned out?
To tell you the truth, I don't think so. I don't think this could have gone any better. Like I had fun every session, and give myself a pat on the back. I feel like I did a good job once it started to feel like it was teetering off, like throwing things in there to kind of bring it back up. So the only thing I got frustrated about is when you guys first got to the Dangler's house. Oh, I know what it was. Steve found the journals, and actually there's a couple things. Steve found the journals and I was like, well, do you read them? And he's like, no, I'm just gonna take some pictures. And I'm just like, it's all right there, like just read them. And he didn't want to read them, and I understood why. He was kind of trying to be quick about it, so Steinmetz wouldn't have just sat there and read them. I thought that was gonna blow it all wide open. And when also with Steve, sorry Steve, but when he just refused to give up on the Dangler house. Like he made search rolls, failed the search rolls, and then later he was just like, yeah, I'm still just gonna search the Dangler house. And I'm just like, no, you already searched it. Steinmetz didn't find anything.
I can hold things down here. You probably need to get patched up as well if you want to head back to the hotel.
Steve, what is I'm sorry, but like, what is your goal with this house?
I mean, I know it's not the most exciting thing, but I just want to keep an eye on it. I think somebody needs to stay put.
For what?
And then until I guess I'm still thinking back in my mind, there might be something here somebody comes across.
Well, I'm telling you failed your search rolls. So
okay.
As far as Steinmetz is concerned, everything's taken care of in that house. But I get it. It sucks when you really feel like there's something else, and there might have been, but
there wasn't.
To tell you the truth, there wasn't. The only thing in that house was the journals and the necklace around Thomas's neck. So there wasn't anything in there.
And look, I'm not the king of role playing, but I felt like I was trying to get into, what would a responsible agent do? Well, you're not going to leave the scene, but you also have to balance that. And I've done this in other games, right? Hey, I know this is not the smartest idea right here, but this is also a game. Let's engage with the hooks. Let's do something maybe a little irresponsible just to see what happens. Let's push the button, right? So I think that's one area that, like you said, I'll play the even keel character because I do plan on coming back, right? But the fact is, don't make that a rule, right? That's a guideline, and when it stops being engaging or moving the story forward, break the rule, break the guideline.
Yeah. No, but it all worked out. The whole thing with cooking the Danglers books and getting some money for yourselves and the whole Northrop Grumman thing, kudos, because that was good.
I just want to jump in and say I really appreciate taking the time to stretch it out as much as you did, because honestly, the biggest draw for me in Delta Green is the cover-up and the conspiracy to hide what actually happened and try to do so. Ended up being not necessarily a murder hobo, but killed a bunch of innocent people. Trying to do so, if possible, without killing as many people as possible and the least amount of a footprint on whatever investigation we're involved in is one of the, and kind of from an operational security standpoint, is one of the biggest draws to this game for me. And trying to workshop that and strategize on how we're going to make that happen is the biggest draw, I would say, of the game to me. And then having these supernatural events, that are kind of inexplicable, making it almost impossible to explain away. And thinking how we're going to have to deal with that. And I really appreciate that from everybody, stretching it out as long as we did, as well as to the last point, that everybody really kind of stayed in character in a lot. We had 4 distinctly different characters in the story that had different ways that they would approach problems and being level-headed or kind of, just the variety that we had basically in our group, I thought really added a ton of it to the storyline for me personally.
So being that, that's good to know, because I'd like to know what. Actually, that's probably a good question next. Where are we at? So you enjoyed how we did the cover up, talking it out, or would you have rather seen a little more should I have made you guys roll to see if things panned out you were figuring it out, or do you like it better just you guys came up with some good ideas, so I'm not gonna make you roll, it's just what it is.
I did have a thought on that. I think for the most part the way we do is good. I think a couple of adversarial situations where you pick a couple of people close to the case, like a detective or Santorini, or hey, you get a call from the 2 reporter kids, and then you have to do something. You have to pay them off. There's so you have some skin in the game. So there's maybe a little bit of tension there. But for the most part, I think as you mentioned earlier, that the case is over. The threat is gone. This is really more narrative at this point, because really from a gameplay perspective, what's going to happen? It's not we stop the killer and our job is, well, I don't want to say our job is done, but yeah, I think it was appropriate.
I think so too. And I was going to say, in situations where we're not under duress or we do not have a threat that is making things time sensitive, either if we are going to roll, giving us big bonuses potentially, if, for example, if 3 of us are holding security on a quote unquote investigation scene that we control, Steinmetz could do whatever he wanted. I'd go out and get lunch for us from the local fast food chain and bring it back if we needed to, kind of thing, legit as part of the story while he's doing his thing on the computer. And if anybody comes up to the house, McNulty and Baker probably would have gone out and distracted them so that he could do his thing, kind of thing. So adding a 20 or 40% roll or something like that, if you feel obligated to make it part of the mechanics, I think is appropriate. But factoring in, again, okay, you have, you could take literally all day to do this if you wanted to, or something along those lines, versus, obviously in the heat of the moment where there's no time to prep or assist each other or anything like that. Keeping rules pretty much straight or something along those lines. But of course, your discretion is the handler.
No, yeah, that makes a total sense. And I was thinking about doing that, but I always had in the back of my head, if this was a real situation, it doesn't seem like you guys are pressed for time right now, but you kind of are, because the town wants answers fast. I feel like you guys would have made it a point to ease the town as fast as you can. So I don't know. I like the idea of all the bonuses and stuff when time is not a factor. So that's good things to know. Is there anything else that you think I should have done different as far as running things, or that you guys liked a lot, or because I'll tell you what, like
I've got one more comment. I don't mean to dominate the conversation, but going back to that same thread I was pulling earlier about really enjoying the cover up. For me personally, like that's again like the biggest draw, and I don't mean to belabor the investigation, or if it's not engaging, for other players or the listeners, I would say get rid of it. But for me, Baker was like still ready to go, like make some calls to, or potentially track down the gray goo sample that got away, that was sent to the lab, have Steinmetz hack the reports at the hospital or the lab where those were done, quote unquote transfer Miss Harrogate, the lady who was the witness to the investigation, and even the bodies at the morgue, or the body of Lauren Harrogate. I think the complexity of any time that we can call a handler and like will away something, I think that for me is not necessarily a bad thing, because it's sure as hell appreciated in the moment. For sure. But I enjoy the challenge of, and I also think too, from like just the way that I perceive things, from an operational security and the extreme level of compartmentalization that would be happening here. At least in my head, that would be kind of like I told you guys to handle this kind of thing, make it go away. And I think that's where the non-combat related like problems that we have to solve, of how are we going to make things, I think those are good opportunities for collaboration and character and solving complex problems that, otherwise it's like, well, how are we going to do this kind of thing? Because this is a screwed up situation, and now we've got these other, factors and variables to deal with that are not combat or not supernatural related. So just my 2 cents.
No, I get it. Yeah. I definitely, I don't know, doing it all over again, I probably would have made you tie up those loose ends a little more. I don't know. I originally said this was only going to take like a couple weeks, and it ended up being, a full, it turned into a podcast. And I know Steve was getting busy and stuff, so I just kind of wanted to wrap this up. And
sure,
but that's definitely for going forward. If something like that comes up, where just make sure you stand your ground and be like, no, I want to check this out. And that's just what it's not going to hurt. I'm not going to think anything of it. If that's what you want to do, that's what you should be able to do. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's always going to be a balance, right? Because we can't get to the point where it's like, oh, you didn't, you left footprints and you didn't put, dirt on top of it to show that you were there, right? So we want to do it in a way that it's engaging, and like there's a level of magnitude of impact that needs to kind of meet a certain threshold, I think. But I think the challenges we have at the end of the cover up just have to be proportional to the efforts and what we've kind of left as breadcrumbs and how we've dealt with them. I think the way we did it, I thought, was pretty well balanced, and I think we also had more at our disposal as part of the group we were in before we went rogue. So I think having a handler with authority it's going to be different in our next scenario, because we don't have that type of backing.
Yeah, I feel like you guys might have relied on your handler a little too much. There's a little too many phone calls to the handler, because like you guys were sent there to take care of it, like knowing that this is a couple of your guys' first time playing, and I'm just like, okay, we'll give them a little leeway with it. But there was a couple times where like, yeah, I'm gonna call the handler, and I was thinking about just, sorry, phone's busy.
Like the number you have dialed is not
figure it out
at this time.
Chris over at is the handler over at Sorry Honey, and if there are too many phone calls to the handler going on, he does exactly that. They were like, hey, in the first season they were asking about demolition equipment and all this stuff, and he's like, didn't I send you there to like do all this shit? You guys should probably figure it out on your own, because I don't have anybody out there. I have you. Figure it out.
And that's kind of why a lot of these things end with burning the house down.
You're right. Right.
Things like that. But I do appreciate all the hard thinking to not just burn the house down, and it was good. Yeah. But yeah, definitely going forward, now that you guys are part of the Outlaws, it's not going to be as easy as giving the handler a call to clean up a place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and maybe it's just me personally. It is an easy solution to burn the house down, but it isn't satisfying. And I think we also have to be okay with the fact that there could be things that we don't cover up that could have impacts if we keep this as a campaign down the road, right? Like, leaving loose things is going to be inevitable, and it makes it interesting from a narrative hook potentially.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you did balance everything very well. Again, going on that same thing again, some of the details are too much minutia, especially for certain things. So I think it was extremely well balanced and very, very enjoyable.
Going back to kind of agree with Paul, I am also not a fan of just burning the house down. I think a lot of things go that way because people don't see the narrative choices that they have to make. They don't look at the past events that happen to kind of lead up to it and how they can spin things. I'm not going to say it's lazy. But I agree 100%. It is ultimately very unsatisfying as far as an outcome goes. There's no creativity, there's no anything. It's just kind of, okay, well, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, you guys could have just dragged all the dead danglers into the house, burned the house down. You're the FBI. You could have told Gregson, yeah, a fight ensued, the house caught on fire, we had to engage, and there was a gunfight, the house burned down. But yeah, Mark Dangler's the one killing all these people, and that could have been it. But you guys decided to do all this other, the cooking the books, spinning the press conference, and it ended up way more satisfying than just eliminating everything in one swoop. For me, I enjoyed listening to it. Like, most of the time when we're playing, I'm just sitting here with my feet kicked up listening to you guys. Like, I feel like it's more enjoyable for me than you guys because I get to sit here and hear a story.
No, don't sell yourself short. I mean, it was very evident that you put a lot of planning and effort, and you really balanced all the situations well. Like, the balance of like high tension moments and low tension moments, I thought was like perfect for what I enjoy. And also, I thought you balanced humor and seriousness really well too. Like, there was some legitimately funny moments, and even in like a dark humor type of way of like, Lauren's head falling on Smiley. That was, I don't know, hilarious, but also tragic and dark, and that was a highlight for me. I knew I
was gonna do that morning before we started playing. I'm like, yeah, something's got to happen with this head. So and the fact
she's the same age as Smiley's sister that's lost, that he's trying to find, it was perfect. So
to move the bucket truck down, and as he does, it kind of jolts and actually hits the tower a little bit, and the head and spine start to like fall, hitting beams on the way down.
Try and catch the head?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Bob, roll me athletics.
Oh.
So close.
Oh yeah, it falls, boom, 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 and then lands right in front of Smiley. Smiley, roll me a dex. Not a dex, a dodge.
Oh yeah, sorry. Dodge. I wasted the good roll.
It clunks you in the head for 1 point of damage.
You literally got brained.
Yeah.
But also like the high tension combat moments and things like that. That's the only thing, since I haven't played before, is like the combat felt like everyone kept missing each other with Mark, and I don't know if that was just our rolling, but I personally don't have a good grasp on like the flow of combat and how it works, and that might be something for me to research a bit more.
The flow of combat in Delta Green is a pain. It wants you to, like D&D, have initiative, and it goes by your deck. So it's your turn, then it's your turn, then it's your turn, then it's your turn. And I just feel like that gets like bogged down. So I think going forward, I'm going to let the person act first that makes most sense. And then just kind of play it out from there. And yeah, it sucks when you guys are rolling bad and miss it. And like Steve said, the one episode was, I've exhausted my thoughts on how I can make this interesting missing all the time.
Oh, dude, like Keystone Cops between episode 3 and 4, 4 and 5, whatever. I don't think Kyle or Lee, I don't think you and I could have hit the broadside of a barn if we tried, man.
Oh no, I loved it though. I thought the visual of little Steinmetz trying to beat Mark Dangler over the head, pistol whip him with it, like just repeatedly. He's like, this always works in the movies. It had me rolling. I thought, and to that point, that entire episode was literally pulse pounding. I was pretty sure at least a few of us were going to die. And to me, that would add so much too as well. Like if it did happen, I'd be like, this is because if you think about, you just met these people like 72 hours ago, you're put into this impossible situation. And now one of like the people's already dead and you have to cover that up too. Like that's a really, gut wrenching kind of thing, especially like you'd mentioned earlier, if we're worried about going to jail or, being offed by the program if we don't handle it correctly, that kind of thing. So that episode was as intense as it gets for me.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to tell you guys is this season would have been one episode shorter if it wasn't for when Bob as McNulty was in the ME's office and he did his zoned out and did his clairvoyance thing, and Santorini was like, there was a failed roll and Santorini was like, man, you're acting funny. And I don't know if you guys remember, but as McNulty was leaving, I had said, well, you guys don't see this, but Santorini goes in his drawer and pulls out a business card and makes a phone call. That was all improv. Like, I'm gonna have Santorini call these Phenomen X guys and have him be an in with Phenomen X. If Bob would have passed his role, his persuade role, that wouldn't have happened, and the whole Phenomen X thing would have just been not there. Like, you guys would have went from the ME's office to, I don't know, whatever was after the whole coffee shop scene and whatnot. But that made for, like you guys were saying, that's a great red herring. It ended up working out perfect. Yep. And that whole altercation led to Smiley going to see Sandra Harrogate and, the wrestling around with the Phenomen X guys, and then potentially gaining a friendly out of Dr. Santorini, which I want to say, I know these are separate scenarios, but it is one overall arcing campaign. Like, Santorini is canon. So, like, he's a contact for you guys in the future. So, I was even debating about giving you guys all another bond with Santorini, but I didn't because you didn't let him in yet. He still doesn't know who you guys are, things like that. That might have been giving you too much information. Now you guys are just gonna be like, oh yeah, we're gonna let Santorini in. But yeah, we'll just see how that all pans out.
Speaking of Santorini, was there like any NPCs you really enjoyed kind of interacting with our crew with? I mean, obviously Santorini's an easy one, but like, it's kind of interesting. We get to play one character, you have to play like 50. So is there like an NPC that you enjoyed playing as?
I liked doing Thomas Dangler because I felt like I related to him, like when I was a kid. Like, I liked doing Stacy, but I felt like if I had to do it all over again, I'm more comfortable now than I was back then. I really wanted to play her up as like Mean Girls, like whoever in Mean Girls, And I kind of got there towards the end when you were talking to her and she just left the room because she didn't care what you were saying. Yeah, me as a game master, dungeon master, whatever you want to call it for this, I feel like I really need to learn more voices and stuff so I can distinguish between characters. I'm a little self-conscious about it, but like, don't be surprised if next season Walker has a hillbilly type accent. I'm gonna try for real.
That's awesome. I can relate to the voice thing because I'm still workshopping what Smiley is. What I tried that one episode didn't fit who he is. So I'm trying to land on what that voice is, you know?
Yeah, I actually think your voice, what you've been doing, like you're very, like you come off very giddy, and that's like what I feel like a news person would be like.
Right.
Yeah, but it works.
I'm trying to do it with like intonation and inflections rather than changing the tone at the moment. But yeah, we'll see.
One other thing, I don't know if I even brought this up this whole time. Did I bring up that your handler Walker is Steve's character in my Impossible Landscapes campampain?
Yeah, I think that cat slipped out of the bag.
Like episode 1.
Well, yeah, right at the beginning, because Steve was like, "Oh yeah," and then so later you had disclosed it.
Yeah, Walker, his first mission was in 1995. In Impossible Landscapes, you start off in 1995, you do this one mission, and it jumps ahead 20 years. In Impossible Landscapes, my Impossible Landscapes game now, they're in 2015. So this is all happening 3 years before that. So technically, the Walker you guys know is canon to my Impossible Landscapes game. Because because Walker became a handler and he was in the program and then he wasn't in the program. So this is how like I'm playing it out like Walker got out of the program because of this mission, pretty much.
So Steve, I gotta ask, why the bolo tie?
Well, so the whole thing, it's Walker, Texas Ranger, right? Somebody. So when we were starting up the game, somebody made the joke, somebody should be Chuck Norris. And so I went to like the Walker Texas Ranger wiki and just started pulling down details. Now the thing is though, it's like impossible because if you read the Walker Texas, like if you read about the character, he's like the greatest marksman, and he's like the best driver. He can ride horses. He knows all about like survival. He's kind of superhuman. So to put this guy into Delta Green, like they don't give you can't pick like the demigod option and just give him like all the skills, right?
Right.
So we really just, I don't say we got away from it, but and especially with the 20-year jump, right? You had a chance to kind of break away from what the meme character started. Yeah, and hindsight being 2020, probably should not have. It's a serious game. It's fun, but it's serious. Probably should have not taken that option.
I thought it was great.
I think it's great. But now knowing that it was kind of a meme, it's like, okay, that's cool. But I mean, it worked. It worked. That's why I was just curious as to like kind of the background, knowing that it is your character. So that's interesting. That's very cool.
And two things, like I didn't realize until probably our third session that for this campaign that I don't watch The Wire. So I didn't know Jimmy McNulty is one of the main characters in The Wire.
Yeah, shout out to Dominic West. Hope I don't get sued. But he was definitely definitely the inspiration, and I literally could not think of a better name. And it's like, oh wow, he's got all this stuff already kind of baked in. He's a cop, alcoholic, all these troubles at home. It's like it's already kind of there. So when stuff starts really going off the rails, it can be even more spectacular. The whole psychic thing kind of came about because there is an error on that pre-gen cop character sheet. That character sheet has the cop with an initial starting unnatural roll or unnatural skill like of 60. And it's like, oh, so I'm a cop and secretly a high priest of name whatever deity you want at the same time. I had asked, like, hey, can we do something about this? And you were like, yeah, sure. So that's, we decreased that unnatural by quite a bit, and I was allowed to take a ritual in trade.
Clairvoyance.
Yep.
Before I forget, back to Steve, and this might be a little politically incorrect, so I might end up cutting it, but I just want to know.
Trigger warning.
So a few days ago, I'm scrolling through something, Facebook or Instagram or something, and I saw a clip from Walker, Texas Ranger with I think it was Haley Joel Osment, and they were just having a conversation between him and Chuck Norris and someone else, and at the very end of the conversation, the kid's like, "I have AIDS."
Yeah.
And I remember one of your bonds you labeled as AIDS kid.
Yes, I did.
Was that off Haley Joel Osment?
Yeah, Lucas Sims, the famous character, the kid that had AIDS. And like I said, hindsight being 2020, I might have gone a little more serious. But when I was putting together, I thought, what is out there in the zeitgeist with Walker, Texas Ranger? And that is that there's a line where they're having a very serious conversation, and the kid just says, "Walker told me I have AIDS." And I said, I got to have the AIDS kid as a Bond.
That's terrible,
now,
in the best way.
Yeah, spoiler alert. I think I ended up losing that Bond. I said, well, AIDS.
Oh, man. I don't think we can keep that.
That's fine. I just wanted to know that for myself.
Oh, that's incredible.
So that's pretty much season 1 in a wrap, unless anybody's got any loose ends they want to talk about. Excited for the next season?
Sure,
very much so.
All right, well, I think we'll end it at that. So yeah, everybody, thanks for listening, and season 2 will probably be coming out in a couple months, so look forward to that. Keep your eyes out. I'm sure I'll make a bunch of posts when it gets closer. So I feel like we need to have a tagline for our show. We're not going to do it right now, like something we always end on. So maybe everybody think about that, and whoever comes up with the best one will get a +20 on their first roll next season.
There you go. Does Texas Ranger have a tagline?
You're not just going to give him a Nolan token?
Maybe we just end end every episode with Walker says I had AIDS. Just kidding.
Oh, it's incredible.
Right. So yeah, everybody. Yeah. I don't know what to say, but we'll see you next time. Later.
Thanks for listening.
You can edit in the tagline later.
There you go.
Join us on Patreon at Law and Disorders. Get your episodes a week early, along with some other perks. See you next time.